expect to be disciplined in your trading if you lead an undisciplined life. The expert trader is inside of you. We want to control our trading. We don't want our trading to be in control of us. In other words, two people can have the same trading idea, but how they manage the position makes the difference between being a winner and a loser.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm here with Dr. Brett Steenbarger, a trading psychologist that everyone knows. With me, we have William and Robert from Bearable Traders. I just wanted to give a brief introduction about this interview. I mean, we are all retail traders. Most of you are trading at bearabletraders.com. It's the community for retail traders. We're not professional traders. Most of us are trading for own accounts from our own offices. And we are always looking for getting good resources to become a better trader. And everyone knows that trading psychology is a very important aspect of trading. You know, we know the professional traders in Wall Street, they have access to psychologists and, performance coach. But us as retail traders, we have to work on our own psychology, come up with the best discipline and best actions to become better traders. Dr. Brett Steenbarger, that I'm honored to you're honored to have this interview with him. He has done a lot of work on trading psychology and improving trading performance, especially for us retail traders. The books that he's been publishing, the blog, and all of the interviews that he has available online has been a gold resource for us retail traders who do not have access to a lot of professional traders resources that they have. Having said that, I just wanted to welcome you, Dr. Brett Steenbarger. With me, I have Robert and William from Bearable Traders. That Robert and William has done a lot of work with the community on the psychology aspect of trading and how we can, traders can be actually better. Having said that, I just want to hand it over to Dr. Brett for introduction. And thank you very much for watching this interview.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Andrew. I appreciate it. I appreciate getting together with the community and talking about trading psychology. Just a couple of introductory comments that might be helpful. One of the important areas of trading psychology that we don't focus on is our cognitive development. That is the development of how we process information. Many people focus on emotions, and yes, emotions are important in our trading, particularly in their ability to interfere with our trading. But it turns out that in the research I've done at several different firms, the best predictors of success for traders are cognitive, not emotional, not personality. How we process information makes a huge difference in how well we trade markets. And so I recently posted to the blog a post about how we can rewire our brains for trading success. There are exercises we can do. There is equipment that we can use to help us improve our focus, both in terms of the depth of our focus, how deeply we think, the breadth of our focus, the breadth of information that we take in, and also the extent of our focus, how well we can sustain concentration. And it turns out that those kind of variables are just as important to success as the usual emotional variables that we talk about in trading psychology.
Great points, Dr. Brett. So in our community here, one of the books we highly recommend for traders is obviously the Daily Trading Coach, which is a favorite of mine, a classic. And in this book, you give us 101 exercises on how we can change our mind, right, and still change, become agents of change, lasting change, right, that can help improve, as you said, the cognitive aspects of trading. Because I think a lot of traders get down the rabbit hole of technical analysis, the search for the holy grail, and it takes a lot of a lot of reflection and inflection to realize that sometimes the issues are actually internal and not external with the markets, right?
Right, right. Let me give you an analogy. It's a little bit of a silly analogy that I mentioned at a trading firm yesterday when I was working with traders. I pointed out that traders are always looking for that holy grail. They're looking for the right setups, They're looking for the chart patterns that will be successful. And they don't focus on what are the right things to be trading. Are they trading the right markets? Are they trading the right stocks? How do they determine that? Are they processing the right information in those? So they're looking for these setups when in fact that's not really what creates the success. And the analogy I used was, let's say you're a single young person, you're a single guy, and you're trying to meet a young woman. And so all you focus on is your pickup line, what you're going to say to her to get her interested, when in fact, what's more important is the personality of that individual and how you have a conversation with them.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, Brett, Dr. Brett. There's just so many aspects to it. So we understand that you're working on a new book regarding spirituality and trading or psychology. Could you expand upon that, please?
Yeah, so that's the newest project. It's a book on spirituality and trading. It's called Radical Renewal. And the idea behind the book is that many of the problems we experience in trading are not big psychological problems. Many of the problems we experience as traders are problems of the ego. Our egos get in the way of making good decisions. We get too caught up in the P&L. We're afraid of taking losses. We get greedy and we overtrade. This is all ego stuff. We want to make a big market call. It's our call. We're predicting the market. That is ego talking. Whereas when we're trading well, the patterns in the market come to us. We have an open mind, not a mind that's full of myself, so to speak, but a mind that's open so that we can really, in a sense, have a conversation with the market and really be a listener to the market and see what's happening and make decisions on that basis. If I were trying to meet a new person and I'm just filled with my own ego and what I want to say about me, am I really going to have a good conversation with that person? But if I want to meet a person and I have an open mind and I'm a good listener and I ask questions and respond, then we can really have something meaningful as an interaction. It's no different with markets. So that's the idea behind the book. And the other idea is that the great spiritual traditions of the world really are just collections of techniques for us to overcome the ego and tap into the soul. So that's a big idea that I'm writing about. That good trading comes from the soul, not the ego. A fun part of the book is that it's written on a blog platform. So the book will include links to videos and to websites and graphics. And because it's on a blog platform, the book will be free to anyone in the world who has an online connection. And so it's a way of giving back to the trading community.
Yeah, Dr. Steenbarger, that sounds amazing. And I've never seen a book that combines trading and spirituality like what you're talking about. And I study Buddhism, and I go back to the meditative process of Buddhism, losing the ego, going with the flow of things and not being stuck in my own head. So this sounds amazing. Did you look at specific types of spirituality or religions to help in this book? I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. Yes, I did. I looked at Buddhism, I looked at Hinduism, I looked at Christianity, I looked at Islam, I looked at Judaism, I looked at many different religions and traditions. And it's amazing if you approach all these cultures and all these religions and all these traditions with an open mind, you see some real similarities. And so I try to find the common elements across the traditions that help us get past the ego. In Buddhism, they teach non-attachment. We don't get too attached to the things of this world. You know, talk about attachment, fear of missing out, fear of missing a train. That is attachment, right? That is the ultimate of attachment. We have to be able to let go and have trust that when opportunity shows up, we'll be able to see it. We'll be able to act upon it. That's a whole different mindset.
Seriously, just letting go of the previous trade and taking the next trade independent. If we could only do that, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? And that spirituality is going to help so much with that. So I am excited.
Yes, and that's why in my recent Forbes article and on some of my posts, I talk about an unusual topic. I talk about the topic of forgiveness.
Nice. Forgiving oneself?
Yeah, exactly. We all mess up. I trade. I can tell you all about the stupid trades I make and the losses I take. But if we're going to do what you're suggesting and put aside the current trade so that we can be open to the next one, we have to get to a point of forgiveness. We have to let go. We have to learn from it. In other words, we forgive. We don't forget. We learn from it, but we put it away so that we can have an open mind to the next opportunity.
Wow, that's very insightful, Dr. Brett. So you were saying you studied the works of prior religions and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, a lot of the modern psychology work from Jung and Freud and stuff, they talk a lot about the ego, the id, the ego, and all this. Do you go over that, any of those kind of topics in the book as well, how they relate to that?
Yes, I think probably the writings from Jung would be most similar. The ego is that part of us that deals with the day-to-day world. We need to have an ego. I mean, it's not a negative thing. The way I describe it in the book is that our self-talk, all the chatter in our head, that is our ego. Our egos talk to us with the chatter in our head. So now let's go back to the idea of meditation that you brought up. Why is meditation effective? Because we quiet the mind. And if you think about it in the different spiritual traditions, prayer, the role of prayer is to quiet the mind. We can't pray effectively if we got a bunch of chatter in our heads. Come on. So the role of prayer and meditation is to quiet the mind, which means put the ego aside so that we can tap into something deeper and more significant.
Dr. Brett, that's amazing. This is such a topic that is understudied in trading. I mean, I've read so many books on this, and whenever I brought it up to traders, except for Robert over there, he's the one I could talk to about this, I feel like I'm kind of frowned upon, or like there's no part for spirituality and thinking about things like this in trading. So did you have any roadblocks or anything like that when you were starting this book, trying to like get that topic into the world of trading? Because God, we need it. We need it bad. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your feedback about that. And, one of the reasons I'm writing it on the blog platform and making it free of charge is I didn't want to have to deal with other people's reactions if they're not open to the topic. I'm not trying to preach a particular religion or a particular tradition to people. That's not the aim. What I'm trying to do is show people, look, for centuries and centuries and centuries, thousands of years, people have found these traditions to be helpful. I call it the greatest crowdsourcing experiment in history. When you have that many people using these techniques and believing these things, are they all idiots? I mean, a lot of people are idiots, but come on.
Some.
Centuries and centuries. So it's the wisdom of the crowds. It's there's some value there, and I'm trying to bring that value to traders. And I think it's especially needed in trading because, as I point out in the book, trading has got to be the most materialistic of professions. It's all about making money, right?
That's so true, yeah.
Yeah. So we get caught up in that, and you see it online, when the traders start posting online, exactly, and they're beating their chest and what great calls they made, and then they show a picture of this fancy car. It's not even their car. They show a picture of their
There's a lot of vanity, right, Dr. Brett?
huge amount of it. That is all ego. You can't trade in that state. And so this is a way of presenting a different perspective.
Wow, I hope we see some new videos of like them meditating in their recaps and being calm. Wouldn't that be amazing? I'll do it. I'm gonna read this book and you're gonna see some stuff like that. Because this gives me now the avenue and the background to do it. So thank you.
I will link to that. Absolutely, that would be of real value. But you would be surprised how many traders I work with who do meditate.
Very good.
Apps like the Headspace app, they become very popular. And I think for this reason, traders realize that they need to have a quiet mind in order to process markets. And so what might not have been popular some years ago, I think now is catching on.
Yeah, to expand upon that concept, Dr. Brett, of quieting the mind and this relationship we have with ourselves, I've always made the statement that trading is not you versus the market, it's you versus yourself. Your ability to read yourself, to observe yourself. When are you going on tilt? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And I think what you brought up there in the book is going to be really helpful for people to start kind of bringing down those internal walls or those curtains where they don't want to deal with their own strong personality or their own weaknesses or whatever that may be. So.
Right. I agree with you. And if you approach the market as an adversary, then it's going to be miserable trading. I talk about our interactions with markets as conversations. We are listening to markets and we're picking up on themes. That's very similar to what I do as a psychologist. What do I do? Helping people. I listen to them and I figure out the themes, the issues that they're dealing with, and then I jump in and I provide some help. That's what we're doing with markets. We listen and we listen, see some themes, we see some patterns, and then we jump in and we act. But you need a clear head for that. You can't be full of yourself.
Yeah, and Dr. Brett, I know you're a big proponent of making changes inside and outside of trading. And this is, again, something Robert and I talked about so much. We would do things completely unrelated to trading to work on our discipline in trading. Pretty crazy stuff, actually. Some of the things we wouldn't want to share, but we really try to use that perspective. So in your new book and what you're working on now, is there anything that you want to talk about on that note? Because I know you've talked about it in the past as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bringing this up. It's really important. How can you expect to be disciplined in your trading if you lead an undisciplined life, right? I mean, what we do in our lives is preparation for what we do in our trading. And so if we want to be calm and focused, we can't be wild and crazy, outside of market hours, and if we want to be calm, and if we want to make good decisions, we can't be super emotional and out of control, So everything, in a sense, is practice for trading. There's another sense, though, that I do talk about in the blog and in the book, and that is sometimes trading doesn't work out. Sometimes we lose money. Sometimes we go into drawdown. We are fallible human beings. It happens to all of us. Markets change. We don't pick up on it, and so we lose money. If you have other things in your life that are giving you happiness, that are giving you fulfillment, that fulfill your values, that are giving you energy, if you have relationships in your life that are giving you meaning, then you have a rich life outside of trading. And that makes it much easier to go through the drawdowns. Sometimes you hear the young people that, they'll come in and they'll say, I just have this passion for trading, and trading is all I think about and it's all I do. That's messed up. That is messed up. You want to have things in your life that are more important to you than P&L.
Guys, well, what's the quote that Andrew always tells us that he got from Dr. Brett? Andrew?
Okay.
Well, I'm always saying that fit trading into your life, not your life into trading. I see a lot of people try to become trader by just revolutionizing their life, getting a divorce or quit a job. Forcing it. I'm always telling that if trading fits in your life, do it. Don't do it otherwise.
Yeah, Andrew, it's so true. The trading has to fit into your life, which means you have to have a full life outside of your trading. And that's a great thing to work on. And then you're more spiritually full, right? Because you've got these relationships, you've got these fulfilling activities. And if the trade doesn't work out, are you really going to overreact? I've got 5 kids. I've got 6 grandkids. I've got 4 cats at home that are really fun.
And we're cat people too in this community.
All right. And, I've got friends in the trading community and people I work with. I've got all these things. So if one of my trades doesn't work out, am I going to get all depressed? Does my life feel terrible? No, of course not. It puts everything into perspective, and that's helpful.
We asked our forum we asked our community to give us some of their questions that they would love to ask you, and we scoured through a lot of questions and found maybe the top 10 to 12 that we would love to get your insight on, if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
All right, Andrew. Well, Andrew's got the first one, so this is specifically from Andrew.
About the performance anxiety, I see a lot of traders, including myself. We have a couple of good trades, and then we got some sort of a performance anxiety, and then we really mess it up in the next day or next trade. Is it common? Or if it is, what can we do to don't overcome this performance anxiety?
Yes, good question. It's a very common problem. Performance anxiety occurs when we focus more on the outcome of the performance than the actual process of performing. And that happens with public speakers. You suddenly are worried so much about how the audience is going to react, you forget your speech. It happens in sports where, there's some big play and you become aware, like it's make or, it's do or die. It's, and you become so nervous that you ruin the play. Performance anxiety happens in sexual relationships. We get so focused on how we perform that we don't perform. Okay. So that's what happens in trading. We become so focused on P&L that it interferes with just reading the market. And so what's very helpful for that are a couple of things. One, there are some relaxation exercises that we can do, like meditation, controlling our breathing, controlling our focus, so that we're able to physically get ourselves relaxed, because it's hard to be anxious emotionally if we're relaxed physically. So those behavioral exercises, which I do talk about in the Daily Trading Coach, can be very, very helpful. Another helpful step is to change that internal dialogue, that self-talk. And so take the pressure off ourselves and do an exercise where we actually imagine getting stopped out on the next trade. We imagine that we hit our stop, that we lose money, and we keep ourselves calm while we're imagining that and talking to ourselves, okay, this was a good bet. It didn't work out this time. That's okay. So that you're practicing a way of talking that takes the performance pressure off you. But a third technique, if it's a real problem, is temporarily go back to trading in simulation mode. Go back to paper trading. So there's no P&L. And just get back into making good decisions, get back into the rhythm, get your confidence back, and then pick up your size. That can be very helpful.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Oh, absolutely.
I got the next one because I don't think you'll know how excited I am now. You're like unlocking something for me, Dr. Brett, that now I can like say, oh, Dr. Steenbarger's talking about this, so I can now have that backdrop
That's
to
right.
go back
That's
to.
right. That's right.
So this question's going to add on one more thing because of that, what you just said. So a member asked, BBT prides itself on being a community where people from all trading backgrounds and experiences can learn together. From a psychological perspective, what are some of the benefits to traders who belong to a community? Now, with that being said, like I joined 2 communities for the short term in the very beginning and I quit and then I traded by myself for like a year and it was horrible, right? I had no support.
Yep.
But now with what you just said, what I've always wanted to do was make a 3 to 5 minute meditative video for our traders to go to every single day before the market. Right? And just to get them in the head space. But I felt too awkward to do that, and now I'm finally going to because of you. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And if they don't like the video, they can blame me. That's
exactly.
Great. Yeah,
exactly.
There you go. Absolutely. No, that's a great idea for the community. And that really answers the question, what value is there in a community? And it's the sharing. It's the sharing. And so, I work in addition to working with traders, I teach in a medical school. And in a medical school, you have everyone is learning from everyone else. The saying is each one teach one. That's what a community is all about. Each person learns from the others, but each person shares and teaches others. That's a huge benefit to being in a community. And I think particularly for beginning traders, developing traders, having that support is hugely helpful.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm always a big proponent of. We have a forum in our community here where people can share anything inside of trading, outside of trading, but I'm always encouraging people to post their trades, post their lessons, regardless of their experience, because there's always going to be people who are behind them in the learning curve, alongside them in the learning curve, or ahead of them in the learning curve that could benefit from these stories or these these reports of how they're feeling. And I think that's really one of the things that I'm always trying to encourage from our members.
I think that forum idea is great. One thing I encourage developing traders to do is turn your losing trades into learning opportunities. If you lose in your trading, if you're not trading well, it's an opportunity to learn. Maybe you'll learn something about yourself and managing yourself better. Maybe you'll learn something about the stock that you were trading or about the futures market that you were trading. But to take away learning lessons, and people can help each other in a community do that.
Yeah, and then if they're working on their meditative and their spirituality, they're going to be able to take the lesson rather than just being so worried about the loss. So they're all combining to help each other. This is so great.
That's exactly right. But the most important, let's really get down in detail here. The most important part of a community is meeting up in person and enjoying craft beer.
Hey,
hey, that's what we do on a monthly basis around here, Dr. Brett. We should have you come into one.
Wait, are you flying out? We're doing that on Saturday. We're buying beer for anyone who wants to come to Pasadena. Out of all the traders, you're welcome.
Well, I organize craft beer outings for portfolio managers and traders. And so if you guys ever come out east, I will be happy to organize. But yes, in Southern California, you've got some great craft breweries. And so, hey, that's another way that we can enjoy community. But seriously, from a spiritual perspective, celebration is part of spirituality. I talk in one of my recent articles about repentance. That's the forgiveness. But another aspect of spirituality is celebration. When we learn, when we do something well in a community, we can celebrate together, just like a sports team. When you win, you celebrate together. You share that experience together. It makes it more meaningful. And that's part of being in a community too.
Great. Let's get on to the next question here from, I believe, there's no name here, but what common traits do you see in successful traders? Is there any behavioral or characteristic personality traits that you see across the board for people who are succeeding in trading?
Yes, and I have both at hedge funds and other firms, I've helped them with their hiring because I've been involved in research about what makes traders successful. And one of the things that we found is that successful traders know in detail and can describe in detail what they do well and how they do it. It's not a general type of thing, a generic type of thing. They really know what their edge is. And they're always working on developing new sources of edge because markets change.
Mm-hmm.
But that self-awareness, they know what they do well, they know where their success comes from, and that helps them be more consistent in what they do. That's a huge part of success. The other thing I see with successful traders is that they are doing something unique. There's some aspect of what they're doing that's different from all the stuff you read in the books and you see online. They have found their own way of making sense out of the market and finding opportunity out of that. So if someone talks to you and tells you the same old stuff you've heard from every other trader, it's probably not an edge. If you're going to be distinctive as a trader, you have to come up with distinctive ideas and implement them in distinctive ways. And so that uniqueness, which gets to creativity, is important to the success of traders.
Great points. Yeah, great. Anything you want to add to that, William?
No, I think it's perfect. No, I was going to go on to the next one after that.
Right.
And a lot of these questions have now already been answered from the spirituality, the meditative. So I'm going to skip one or two here. But Marcel asks, what are some non-trading related mental exercises that you recommend before the trading session? We know that you're talking about meditation, getting in the right mind state. Are there any other things that traders could try? Because, not every trader will find success with every specific technique. So do you have any other ones for people that want to try other things?
Yes. Okay. Good question. Yes, there are a few things we can do to prepare ourselves for the trading day and prepare our minds and our spirits for the trading day. In the book, I talk about 3 spiritual paths that are present in all the traditions. The first spiritual path I call the path of joy. It's the path of celebration, and the way we enter that path as traders before the trading day is to study our winning trades and what we've done well. Celebrate them, study them, learn from them. Your winning trades reflect your strengths, what you do well. And we can learn so much from our winners. When I read the journals of traders, what are they writing about? They're writing all about their mistakes and everything they do wrong and their frustrations. And so they, day after day after day after day, they're writing about losing. No wonder they feel like losers.
It's a lot of negativity, right?
And negativity, yeah. And so here we have the opportunity to learn from our winners and to feel joyful about those and to become more consistent with what we do well. The second path is the path of repentance. That's the forgiveness. That's identifying what we've done wrong and really feeling badly about it. Like we've let ourselves down. I'm better than this. And to be able to learn from it, forgive ourselves, and put it down. That's a great exercise before trading. And the third, which we talked about with meditation, is the path of quiet. That's getting out of the mental chatter and being able to quiet our minds so that we're open to what the markets are actually doing. So exercises on those 3 paths, I think, can be very, very helpful.
So, Dr. Brett, I've got a wall with some of my best trades ever that I've posted up. And so I can always see them and go back to them. And it's not an ego thing. It's like, this is what I want to do. This is the
Right.
trade I want to take every time. Repeat, and remind it for me. And it makes me feel good when I know they're smart trades. I did everything right, and I can
Yes.
go back to those exactly like what you said. So something specific for people that go back to their good trades. How would you recommend them doing that? Printing it out on paper, having it on a computer, posting it on a wall. Like, what are some good methods for that?
Yeah, I love the idea of making it visual. It depends how you process information best, but making it visual and posting on a wall, I think that's a great idea. Putting it in a journal and reading over it, I think it's a great idea. There are journal formats that allow us to share things online, and that can be very, very effective. Um, you know, when we go over charts or we replay markets and we identify what we did right and what we did wrong, that replaying of the market cements it in our head. So all of those are really good ways of doing it. And of course, as you pointed out earlier, sharing within the community in a forum would be a way of learning from what we did well. But the idea here is that the expert trader is inside of you. The expert trader is not some person that you have to copy, some guru, who tells you what to do. No way. The expert trader is found in what you do well. Your good trades will show you the path to the expert trader.
Robert, what was that question we had yesterday about if anyone can become a successful trader? Do you remember that we were looking at?
Yeah, someone in the forum asked that question. I don't know if we selected it. I doubt it, but it was, with enough hard work, effort, and focus, dedication, can anyone become a good trader was the question.
It's a great question, and I think it's pretty clear that the answer is no, that we can become better with hard work. The analogy I use when I was in college, I played basketball, and I played at a major university.
Which position, Dr. Brett?
Duke University. Well, the position I played was the on the bench position.
Bench warmer.
That's a very important one.
That's a very important one. Anyway, but the point was, I played a lot of basketball and I worked hard on my game and my shooting, and I did have a good shot and all that. But, am I tall enough to be a successful player in Division III, college? Am I able to jump enough to be able to do that? Am I fast enough on my feet? I don't have those talents. Talents are what we're born with. One talent that's important to trading is speed of mental processing. If you're trading, like short-term trading, you have to process information very quickly and act on it very quickly. Not everyone is wired for speed of mental processing. And so they can work on it, but if they don't have those talents, it's like me in basketball, they'll only get so far. So we want to find the areas in life where we have the talent and then build the skill to make the most out of our talent. And that's what makes us very successful. And you know what? For some people in your community and some people I work with, trading is not their greatest talent. Trading is not where they're going to find their greatest success. I've traded full-time in the past. I hated it. Now, why did I hate it? Because I missed meeting with people and being a part of their lives. I'm a psychologist for a reason. And so the trading was fun. I was actually making money, but it wasn't fulfilling for me because it didn't speak to my greatest interests and values and talents. And I think it could be that way for some people in your community, and that's okay.
Yeah, coming back to what you said there about the speed of being able to process things, I found that for myself, when I made an adjustment to trading on a higher time frame, I felt more comfortable, and it was more of an area where I could process that information in a timely manner, right? And I think a lot of our traders are trying to find where in those time frames do they stand on the 1 minute chart versus some of the higher time frames, 15 and stuff like that. So that's a really good point.
Very good point. The shorter the time frame, the shorter the holding period, the more important it is to process things very, very quickly. And that's a very different set of cognitive skills from hedge fund managers I work with who hold positions for weeks and months. Their skills are more analytical skills. It's not the fast processing. So we have to know what we're good at and then adapt our trading to our strengths.
Yeah, Dr. Brett, one thing I know I love about you and your book and our community, because Andrew is the same way, you guys don't make guarantees. You constantly tell people, like, trading is hard. It's not for everyone. Not everyone can do that. But a lot of people get guarantees from so many other sources. Just do this, and you can make it. So even when you're talking about your meditative, and your new spirituality, you're saying there's a cap, and not everyone can go over that cap, and trading might not just be for you. And we tell people that. So I think it'll be great if you can expound on the idea that if you try trading and you fail, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you anything other than it just wasn't the right fit. Because a lot of people get so down when they fail at trading, and it ruins so much of their other life. So please talk to those traders who might be watching this.
That's a great idea. And again, it's because we put too much ego into the trading. And so we think that that's all that we are. That's crazy. Here's an analogy. All right, so let's say that you're young and you're growing up and you're single and you date different people because eventually you'd like to build a lasting relationship. Every dating relationship you have should ideally be a failure until the last one. You know what I'm saying?
That's a really good metaphor, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in other words, you fail at this. That's how it was for me. You fail at this, you fail at that, you fail at this. And finally, like the light bulb shines over your head and you figure out, this is what I need in a relationship. And then you find the right person. And in my case, we've been married 36 years. And so it does work out. But what got me to that point was all the failures, right? All the things that didn't work out. So it's like that when we try different careers, when we try different types of work, that, okay, it doesn't work out doing sales. It doesn't work out doing trading. But we learn something about ourselves from that eventually lets us pursue what we're really good at and where our strengths really are. And so we can look back on it and we can see that it's not a failure. It was just part of our path to success. Yeah. The other thing, like for me, the trading could be a part-time activity, or you could end up focusing on markets in terms of investing. Once you become successful and you have lots of money to invest, then that could become your involvement with markets. So it's not a wasted experience.
Great. Yeah, great points, Dr. Brett. William, you want to get that next question? I'm not sure where we are here.
Yeah, we're jumping around here. Okay, let's. Yeah. Well, okay. Many traders become addicted to trading or obsessed with the markets. Ooh, here we go. Can you expand upon any similarities between gambling and trading? This was a question from our forum, and a lot of members asked a similar type of question.
Interesting, and I have written on that topic. If you look up, if you Google Trader Feed, the name of my blog, TraderFeed, and trading addiction, you'll see articles on this very topic. You're absolutely right. Some people approach trading as gambling, and they get caught up in the highs and the lows of winning and losing, and it's more about the excitement, the thrills for them, just like gambling in casinos. And I've seen people lose all their money. I've seen people really hurt their families because they've spent their family's money and hurt their own children, hurt their wives. That is really, really, really sad. It's really destructive, just like any addiction. Mm-hmm. And so, we want to control our trading. We don't want our trading to be in control of us. So I can go out with a trader friend and I can have a craft beer and we can enjoy ourselves and toast. But if I need to have that beer, if I can't live without the alcohol, now it controls me. And then it starts to interfere with my trading. It starts to interfere with my career. It starts to interfere with my relationships. So there's a big difference between doing something where we are in control and doing something where it controls us. And if you're a trader and you feel out of control and you're trading when you don't want to be trading, then that addiction topic is something worth looking into.
Dr. Brett, I have a question. This is very common in our community that people always take the profit early so they don't let their winners run, and they don't accept the loss early so they let the losers really get away from that. Some of it's technical, they don't have the right target, profit target and stuff, but a lot of it comes from psychology. They just can't. They take the profit quickly and they don't let their winners run. What's your thought on that? Is there any way that they can work on that psychologically?
Yeah, the traders I work with, as you probably know, I work with day traders at SMB Capital in New York. And what we work on is creating rules for taking profits. And many times what they will do is the position will go their way, it will be profitable, and they have a first level that they take a piece of profits on,
Partial, yeah.
partial, and then another target, and then there's a third piece maybe that's their core position, they let it run. And so what they're doing, they call it cash flow. They're creating cash flow in the trade. They're ringing the cash register, making money with a piece and then another piece. But if the move has potential, if you think we could take out a bigger level, there's always a piece that's left on to do that. Now, if that piece doesn't hit the eventual level and goes all the way back, let's say we're long, it goes all the way back, then at least you've taken profits on those first two pieces. And so it helps your overall profitability. In a lower volatility market where moves don't extend very much, that can be a very effective way of managing positions. But, and I'll turn it around. I have traders I work with who will enter a position, their first entry will be a modest size.
Scaling it, right? Yeah.
And then, yes, and only if the trade starts to prove itself will they get in larger. So if they get stopped out right away, it's on a smaller position. My experience is that just those ways of managing positions, managing our trades, is every bit as important to our profitability as the trading ideas themselves. In other words, two people can have the same trading idea, but how they manage the position makes the difference between being a winner and a loser. So these are important things to work on. And having rules for doing that helps keep us consistent.
Yeah, Dr. Brett, coming back to the rules, I found for myself when I moved to a more mechanical profit-taking or trade management system, it did wonders on my trading, not only in terms of the profit, but in terms of the psychology and the emotions, because there was no more regret. I should have done this, I should have done that. All I'm doing is following the plan to a T, and I can live with that, whatever the result is. Those are really great points you made.
That's a great example. And you know what else? It helps reduce the mental wear and tear. You're struggling. Should I take profit here? Maybe I should let it go. Maybe it's going to hit it. You're using up so much mental capital just worrying about the trade. If you have the rules, it's automatic. And that frees your mind for the next trade.
That's so true. And a perfect follow-up for this is another member asked, we know that you work with a lot of prop desks and other firms on Wall Street. So specifically, what are some things they do differently than the average retail trader that the average retail trader can learn from?
Very good question. I think that a big advantage of a professional trading firm like a hedge fund or a prop firm is that they have a built-in community on the trading floor. Everyone's sitting next to everyone, and everyone can talk with everyone, and everyone is sharing with everyone. And that is a huge advantage. If you have 20 people looking at a market and sharing their perspectives and sharing information, that feeds your head. You gain much more perspective. And of course, those are resources that can be supports. Those are your teammates, when things aren't going well. And so what the retail trader can do to have some of those benefits is exactly what we've been talking about in being part of a community like your community. And that's what you're doing. You're creating a virtual community that the Marable traders can get together and share in forums and share online and enjoy some of those benefits.
Well, I have a famous quote of you on our website that you were saying that if you go back in time, knowing what you know now, you would either join a firm or create your own virtual group of traders to support you. I have it actually on the website. I don't remember where I read that, but I have it on the website.
Yeah, I think that trading in isolation and not having that group is a real obstacle to success.
And I read another interview that you had with someone. I remember you mentioned that if you want to become an Olympic athlete, like a swimmer, you can do it by yourself, but you have a much better chance joining a team and train with the team, to
Yes.
go Olympic.
Yes, I'm not going to become an Olympic swimmer by going in my backyard pool and swimming each day. I need coaching, I need mentoring, I need teammates to learn from. It's very true in trading.
Dr. Brett, I have a question myself. Might not really be directly related to psychology, but it comes from the presentation that you had last year in Trade Ideas event about AI, artificial intelligence in trading, and you discussed about hybrid trading in the future. A lot of people are asking me, what's the future of trading for traders? Are the computers and AI really getting this area 100%, and are we becoming irrelevant slowly over time as the technology and AI is growing? What's your thought? Do you really think that retail traders, the human become irrelevant soon in the financial market?
Yeah, and it's a great question. The idea of hybrid trading is that you're combining the best of the computer with the best of the human trader. And so let's use an example, the car that you drive. There's computer power in that car. Now, in the past, there wasn't, but you have all of these functions within the car that help the car brake more effectively, that keep on on tap with keep in touch with all of the different functions of the car and tell you immediately when something's going wrong. So the individual trader still has to guide the car, but there are these computer functions. Now, will we have computer-driven cars in the future? Already we're seeing some of those. And will those be more effective than the individual driver? It may depend on the driving application. In trading, what we're seeing is that computers can definitely make money. They can look at more things. They have more bandwidth than ever have. And they can find complex relationships that people could not have. But in trading firms, we're seeing where that computing power is helping the individual trader. And you can do research of a systematic nature and use that information to help your decision making as a discretionary trader. So for instance, one person I'm friendly with who does good online research is Rob Hanna, quantifiableedges.com. And Rob, every single day in his newsletter, is doing studies, quant studies, about the odds of the market going up and down based on different factors. And he puts that out to subscribers, and you as an individual trader can decide how you want to use that information. If you see If he's predicting the market's going up and you see the market setting up in that way, you can take that to trade with confidence. If you see that the market is not trading that way, that we're starting to sell off, even though the research said we should be going up, that's real information. Historically, the market has gone up. Maybe something unique is happening right now, making this different from the past. So we can use that quantitative information to help our discretionary decision making, just like we do in driving a car. So some trading will be all computerized, just like some driving eventually is going to be. But there is a lot of opportunity in the interface between the computer and the individual trader.
I mean, thank you. That's a great news for us, because it means that our trading can be more effective and more efficient if we adopt these new technologies that are coming. But I don't see that retail traders become irrelevant in the near future, at least. But we are getting better and better with the coming of AI and technologies.
Yeah, what I will say is I'm seeing individual traders being more successful in trading markets that are not so crowded, where there aren't as many of the computers and algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why individual traders are having some success in trading cryptocurrencies. And they're having some success trading these small cap, low float stocks. That these are stocks and trading instruments that the big institutions are not so involved in. And they're less efficient, and there are more opportunities for the individual trader.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great.
Sure.
Well, can I ask a question near and dear to my heart to you that has to do with your new book? All right, so this is one of my favorite books. Do you know this book, Evolve Your Brain?
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so it goes into brain science a lot and how to form habits. And in your books, you talk a lot about habit forming. And they talk a lot about meditation. They talk a lot about visualizing, all right? So one of the best things that I've done through my research on what high performers do in sports and any areas is that they just sit in their chair and they just visualize actually doing something. This is something that like tons of Olympic athletes, because you just mentioned them, that they do that. So then I would sit in front of my desk, I would turn everything off, and I would just close my eyes and meditate, but visualize myself stopping out, hitting targets, getting into a trade, taking my setups. And so this is kind of like the stuff you're talking about that I'm so excited for. But I want you to go back. Let's say we have a lot of traders who are struggling, and they've read all the books, they've tried all these things, and they're just kind of don't know where to take a fresh step back. And I think your new book might be the perfect way for a refresh. So what are like maybe the top 1 to 3 things that a trader that needs the refresh to start over, to get their psychology back because they're so frustrated and they've learned so much stuff, what can they do?
What can they do to refresh?
Yes.
And I'm going to answer it in terms of the Bearable community, because somewhere in that community, there are successful traders who have refreshed, right? Somewhere in the community, people have met that challenge. Wow, how did they do that? Let's use the community to figure out what they did, and let's learn from each other. And so that's a powerful use of the community. Learn from each other's successes, how we refresh. In my experience, much of the refreshing occurs when people step back from trading. Or maybe they'll just trade very small for a little while, and they start to build their new habits. And they don't worry about P&L, and they do things a new way, and they do it day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and pretty soon they have new positive habit patterns. But stepping back from the trading and the pressures of making money temporarily can be very, very helpful in that refreshing.
Right.
So Dr. Brett, one of the things that we do in terms of refresh around here is what we call a no trade challenge. Is that for a day or however many number of days, rather than going back to simulator where the actions and all the thought process is the same, is that you are forced to watch the screen for a day or however many days it takes. And the idea there is that you're forcing yourself to think objectively, not being involved in the trade and having the decision making and all that stuff, but also to get back to analyzing the charts, right? Because I think when we're not involved, we are more objective. We don't have a stake in it.
Yes.
We're not invested emotionally in all these other things. Could you expand upon that, or do you have any thoughts about that?
I think it's a great idea. And again, in terms of what we were discussing with respect to spirituality, what you're really doing is taking the ego out of it, right? Because now they can't place any trades, they can't make any money, they're sitting back, they're following things, and that allows them a fresh perspective on the markets. And that's very useful, particularly, let's say part of your refresh, like you were talking about, is trading a longer time frame. Maybe that's part of your refresh. Okay, so let's follow the market on a longer time frame without placing any trades. Just observing, just calling out loud what you see.
Imaginary trades. Yeah, I'm really good at those.
You're right, exactly. Let's mind. And so, you just call out what you see. You don't worry about trading it. And that gets you in a mindset where you can just be open-minded and see what's setting up on a longer time frame. And eventually you feel comfortable with that. You start to build some new habit patterns, and then you can go back to actually trading what you see.
Dr. Brett, I gotta ask this follow-up question because back many months ago, Robert, he would make so many imaginary trade calls that he wouldn't take, and I would take them and I would nail them because of his calls, but he couldn't take them because of what you just talked about. Can you go a little deeper into like, God, we can see it, we can call it, but then as soon as we put our own money on the line, all of a sudden everything goes out the window, we second guess, we don't think it's a good trade anymore.
Yes. And here's a good example of how we can use a community. Let's assume that you guys are good guys. Okay? We're going to assume that. Okay?
Good assumption.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, that's just like a good
Long
guy.
shot.
You want good things from me. Let's assume that. Okay? If you call something out to the community, it's not because you're trying to mess people up and make them lose money. You're not a bad guy. You're a good guy. You call it out because you see something genuine. And so just the fact that you call it out to the community means you have some confidence in what you see. It means that you genuinely see it. And that's why you're able to take the trade, right, and benefit from it. So sometimes we can learn about our own conviction. We can learn about our own confidence just by listening to what we say to the community. Like if I've shared this idea, I must really believe this. This is really me. This is really a perception I have. And if I'm willing to share it to the community, I can't not trade it. I may not trade it with giant size, but I've got to trade. If I call it out, it means I see it, means I believe it. I'm not trying to mess people up. I have to put it on.
It's the conviction, right?
Yeah.
That's conviction. That's conviction.
Well, and that's the ego, right? Like I trusted Robert's calls more than he trusted them, but he still called them. It's so interesting.
Yes, and so the key is for Robert to trust himself, obviously, that he's calling it out for a reason, and that there's value in his experience, and his perception, and his judgment.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
There's also
But there are
something in that regard.
probably other people in the community call things out, and you just want to fade that shit.
Oh, there's so many things you have to ignore.
We call that the reverse indicator.
Right.
There you go. In community, they're idiots, right?
Do
Right?
the opposite.
Just go the other way, man. Go the other way. You will make a ton. I'm just kidding.
All right, Andrew had a question here. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Andrew.
I was just going to comment on that. That sometimes the trades that you don't take, they're really good. I mean, it's like paper trading. Everyone is a great trader in paper trading, consistent, really good trader. But when they actually put their own money on the table, then they can't perform as well. I mean, like, Robert can look at the setup and say, hey, this is a long or this is a short, but he's not taking it. Other people are making money off that good idea, but when he puts his own money or I put my own money, then I'm not as performing as well. And it must be psychology, that fear or something.
Well, that's the performance anxiety that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because it's our money and we get caught up. I think that's why some people like trading for a prop firm because you're or a hedge fund because you're trading other people's money, and it takes a little bit of that pressure off that you're trading your own money. It's also a challenge when we size up our trading. How do we get bigger in our trading? All of us have to do that, to be successful. And so all of a sudden at the bigger size, we freeze because we're focused on the dollar P&L going up and down. And so we have to adjust to that kind of movement. And so we want to bump up our sizing very gradually, do it consistently, but do it gradually so that it doesn't put that performance pressure on us.
Yeah, and we do recommend that for people don't look at the P&L. And I know Mike Bluff-Ure also in his book is talking about, just hiding it, or if you don't hide, he's using that word that just go and get a mask tape and put it on the screen so you don't actually see that. Go even old school, because that P&L really is not going to help you at all by looking at it up and down.
Yeah, you have to trade the market. You can't trade your P&L. So true, so true, so true.
So, Dr. Brett, we're at 1 hour mark. We love to keep having you here, but we just wanted to really wrap it up. So
Sure.
I'm just leaving it to William and Robert if they have any final questions or comments that they have, and of course
Okay.
at the end you can just conclude our discussion.
Well, Robert, on that trusting yourself issue, do you want to ask the final question that we came up with last night, or no?
Okay, so my question is kind of, well, we've summed a lot of it up here. Is I think for a lot of beginner traders, the emotional roller coaster that they go through. So kind of picture a roller coaster, right? You have the extremities, the amplitude between the peaks and the valleys, right? And then at those opposite ends, you have the intensity, like how real it feels. Oh, if I stop out, my life's going to come to an end, or this and that. And then you have the proximity of how close together these things are happening. Like, so every, you can go through the ups and downs in 5 minutes between trades. You can be on top of the world and the bottom, right? It's so volatile. It's so extreme, the ranges. How can beginner traders learn to regulate themselves in a better manner, to be more even keeled? Because this is one of the things I really struggled with when I first started.
Yes, it's a great question. And you first want to be even keeled with very small size before you start to bump up the size. And to do that in a gradual way so that we don't upset ourselves too much. You pointed out one way of helping us be more even keeled by lengthening the holding period, the time frame of the trading. You're not so compressed. It's not so much like a roller coaster, okay? And that can be very helpful to traders. I also have traders who learn to express their views in options markets. And they use the options in such a way that they say, all right, I'm going to dedicate this amount of premium to the trade. And if it goes against me, that's how much I'll lose. I know how much I can lose, and I'm willing to lose it. It's either going to go for me or against me. And they're able to put it away and accept that that's what they would lose. They don't have a stop. They just, it's really a time stop with an option. And that helps them be much more even keeled. So how we express the trade sometimes can be very helpful. Those strategies we talked about where you quickly take profits on a portion of a position and build up your cash flow, that can be very helpful so that psychologically you're feeling more like you're winning, and so the occasional losses don't as much. But, and let me conclude on this note, I think the best response to your good question is that if you have things in your life that are more important to you than P&L, then you can go through the ups and downs and you won't feel like a loser. You want to be a winner in life outside your trading, and then you won't feel so much pressure. You won't put so much of your self-esteem into the trading results. Trading is one thing that you do. It's something that's meaningful to you, and hopefully you do it well. But it's only a part of you. It's only a part of your life. And when you have a very full life outside of trading, it's easier to ride that roller coaster.
Yeah, that's so true. A losing trade doesn't make you a loser at the end of the day, right?
Hey, no way. In fact, a losing trade can be a great learning experience. And so you want to process it in that way. You want to embrace your losing trades. You want to learn from them. They're your friends. They're going to teach you to be better. And you want to use a community to embrace mistakes and to learn from them. So it's not like a roller coaster.
Well, I think that's the most important lesson and quote that I'm taking out of this, that you want to be a winner in life beside your trading results. And that was gold. Thank you very much, Dr. Brett.
Oh, well, this has been a great interview. I really enjoy spending time with you. I hope next time I get to the West Coast that we could get together. And if you ever come out to New York, then I'll be happy to host you. And
yeah. So, William, do you have any last question
No, we're good. Thank you so much. You were so patient and willing to give with your time. We really appreciate it, Dr. Brett Steenbarger.
Great. That's great. Well, thank you very much. And when you get it online, send me the link. And
I will do that. Just one thing. When is your book out? May I ask?
August.
Oh,
it'll be ready in August. Yeah. So.
Well, we make sure that we definitely sign up on that. And I hope that there is an audio version as well, because I'm always listening to your books when I'm running and doing that.
Okay, yeah, people have asked about that. I'll have to figure out a way of doing that. Yes. So, but thank you for the suggestion.
Well, thank you very much.
Have a great weekend. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And great questions. You got a great group, and maybe we'll do it again sometime, huh?
This video brought to you by Bear Bull Traders, a community of serious traders. For more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.